Bad review. Remember the good old days? When you walked into a video game store, that little small piece of heaven on earth, where the possibilities seemed endless. The internet wasn't what it is today, and you relied on the front cover and back cover of the game to see what you're getting yourself into. So basically your faith was left in the hands of the gaming gods until you went back home to see if the game you bought was an enjoyable and maybe even a masterfully crafted piece of entertainment, or a masterfully disguised piece of hot shit that would stink up your life. The only thing we have close to that experience nowadays is Steam's new releases section, where everyone, even my mother most probably, has released a game there. And that's where I happened to gaze upon Oni, the road to be the mightiest Oni, and I thought to myself, oh fudge, this game actually looks kind of nice. So I bought the game the day it released, so all that was left to see is if this game is a gold nugget or a shit nugget. I'm guessing this is not part of the game? Huh? Wow. Oh. Oni, Road to be the Mightiest Oni, revolves around Kuda, a demon warrior that got a proper ass whooping by Momotaro, a legendary demon slayer. So after facing utter defeat from his rival, our little kawaii demon warrior travels to this remote island called Kisashima to train and become the strongest demon there is, so he can extract his revenge on the demon slayer. Upon arrival, he befriends this Super Mario wannabe ghost Kazamaru, which ends up becoming his battle partner. And Kana, a mysterious girl which is there for no absolute fucking reason, that ends up befriending you because you end up sharing half of the fruit you stole from her. Yeah, you heard me right. The theme of the game is basically the original Never Seen Again is revenge worth it kind of story. So the way you progress the story is by doing missions, which are basically combat challenges really. But it doesn't stop there. In order to mix things up, the developers decided to add 3 escort missions where you escort the shopkeeper from point A to point B, and the innovative camera angle change for some missions, which is a foe in itself if you ask me. The best way to describe Kisashima Island, where the entirety of the game takes place, is an empty MMO with a few NPCs strolling around. This feeling of emptiness, which at first gave a nice, relaxing and poetic loneliness, got old really fast. Because you realize you're in a barren island doing the same thing over and over again. Collecting mushrooms, which is the in-game currency. Rescuing souls, which help expand your health, which I know sounds interesting, but believe me it's not. And open a few chests you find around, which contain some items for Kuda, and kimonos for Kana, which are cosmetic and completely useless. But the repetition doesn't seem to stop there. The game's soundtrack is mediocre at best, and they went with the Gigabrain idea to put their worst song in the beginning segment of the game. Play on repeat. No, not the same fucking song. Making the experience of trying to explore this barren island even more tedious. The combat system had potential, but ended up being as barren as Kisashima Island. All you do is attack, dodge, reveal the demon soul, destroy it, repeat. There. I gave you the secret formula to beat the game. You do get some special moves, but the only one that is pleasing and really useful is the 4th one, and you will get that at the end of the game, which pretty much gives you 15 minutes to utilize it. You can also use Kazamaru in fights, and in the boss fights you actually need to use them in order to progress, but it doesn't really add anything to the gameplay. And while looking at the boss fights, you might think to yourself there's some redeeming quality in this game, but unfortunately that's not the case. Although the game is aesthetically pleasing and has a certain charm to it, it fails to deliver in all other areas. Even though it's not trying to reinvent the wheel, the repetition and use of unbaked adventure tropes make this a really forgettable experience. Although it's hard to forget that shitstorm of an opening song after having to listen to it so many times. In the nut meter, this game is a solid 4 out of 10. It was definitely a shit nugget, but it was the kind of dog shit that you would find on the sidewalk that was left there for days and is now dry and odorless, but nonetheless still shit. I would love to add more arguments as to why the game fails in many areas, but that would mean I'd have to tread in spoiler territory, and I wouldn't want to ruin this diamond-shaped turd for anybody. In addition, the game has frame rate issues, and in some consoles like the Nintendo Switch, some have reported it's an unplayable mess. So I would recommend you wait until they patch and fix the issues they have. So that's it for me, folks. Thank you ever so much for watching. Please consider subscribing and liking if you like what you saw. And I'll see you all on the next video.